Can we actually acknowledge really quick this article that I didn't see until right now? So I might make a video on this later. It says Concord's massive flop hasn't phased Sony, which reportedly feels very positive about its next live service from an Assassin's Creed veteran. So they're talking about Fairgames, which is a heist.
Yeah,
it's a heist game, right? It's like a payday kind of a game almost.
Wait, I thought you made a video on that on Fairgames.
Not on this article. I made a video on Fairgames, but I didn't talk about Sony feeling positive. I didn't know they put out that statement.
I mean, I mentioned this as part of my Fairgames, just as like a side thing. It's like Sony is not even noticing that it's going to be a problem. Like,
this is
I wonder what's that?
I said this is Cope, not you. This is like this Sony feeling positive about this live service game. Like the fact that you're doubling down on a live service game after your last one just failed in 10 days.
You got to
kind of a dead service game.
You got to convince investors that your games are good, and you don't pour $100 million into a game and be like, "Oh, guys, gotta take our foot off the gas because it's gonna fail." They're gonna be like, "No, this will work because of they get in their own echo chambers to prove it to themselves that it will work when it won't."
Yeah, I want to be there for that earnings call, man. I wish I could. That next earnings call that they're gonna have to do, where they got to talk about the amount of money that they fucking lost on Concord. God, I wish I could be there, man. I'm sure there are people who are going to be there and they're going to put out like articles and stuff. But
well, the crazy thing about like a company like Sony is it's so big. It's so many billions and billions and billions of dollars. Like they $250 million is literally nothing. They can lose that in a day in their stock fluctuation. So that really is like a crazy thing about it, where it's like, oh, it's going to hit them hard, but is it really?
It is to an extent, though, because the more times this happens, and unfortunately for them, it's happening a lot, right? The amount of failures that are happening in the gaming industry, we're seeing the effects of it, layoffs left and right. And they'll try to gaslight you and say, oh, a lot of these companies are overextended from 2020 when everybody was working from home. And that might be true. But the great thing about overextending is that if you are a profitable company and releasing good products that people actually bought, you can afford those employees still. You can afford them. The only reason why you're firing them is because you can't technically afford them, and you also have to make up for the money that you lost, and you're using payroll to do it. This is what companies do all the time. They always use payroll, a reduction in payroll, to make up for a loss every single time. That way, when the investors say, okay, well, you lost 200, 300, 400 million, whatever. If you're at Disney, you're losing $1 billion in the box office. What are we doing to offset this? They're like, well, we're going to restructure. That's the word. Like, we're going to restructure our team. And by restructuring, we mean we're going to lay off enough people to try to offset the amount of money we lost by reducing their salaries, at least for a couple of months. And then we'll see what happens after that, because they always rehire, after things settle down and whatnot. And the cycle continues. So it's all just a what the fuck's the saying, man? It's a pony show, man. All of it is just a show for the investors to feel safe so they don't run away. And the longer they can keep people investing, even if it's for another month, it's just more money that they have to play with. Ubisoft is seeing that happen right now, where Star Wars Outlaws, once they realized it's not selling as greatly, when people were asking them, hey, what are your expectations? What are the pre-order numbers? Oh, you don't want to give me pre-order numbers? That's a little weird. Now they're realizing that it's not selling as much, so people are pulling out. Are they pulling out in mass? No, but they're pulling out enough for them to not only feel a hit on the sales, but they're feeling a hit on the investors too. I mean, at the end of the day,
Outlaws, did you see what the director of Star Wars Outlaws said just a couple of days ago?
Remind me, I might have.
He said that the reviews aren't what they wanted them to be, but he feels the game is really resonating with audiences, and that after they implement the next couple of fixes and patches, he can see this game being a millions of player game for years to come.
Jesus Christ.
Bro, these people live in their own fucking reality, bro, at this point. It's so obvious. There's no way you really believe that. Like, there's no way.
That's what I was getting at with trying to convince shareholders so they can keep their jobs. Like, no, guys, trust us. Just give us 3 more months, and we got that's literally just begging for their job to last longer. The writing's on the wall that they're fucked. and they're just trying to squeeze out everything they can out of it before it all comes crumbling down.
They do that all the time. They try to make it last for another month, and in the hopes that maybe they get a year out of it before they got to go looking for another job, before the studio closes down or whatever. I'm sure that's what happened at they'll do it all over again. I'm sure that's what happened at Firewalk Studios with Concord too. You know, at some point, I'm sure people will probably really realizing this is not going to be very good. But hey, let's just keep this going for as long as we can.
The professor will go back to school to become a professor, actually.
Yeah, like an actual titled professor instead of just using whatever title you feel like. But hey, they do it with pronouns, so it's not too shocking. But yeah, I can't imagine that they genuinely believe that they're feeling very positive about this this upcoming live service game that's supposed to replace their currently dead live service game. Whether or not that's going to be a successful game, I guess we'll see. But I feel like the heist genre is kind of you're in it a little bit too late. Sony seems to have this trend where they're like, hey, we're going to jump on a trend 5 years late and hope that it works out for the best. I don't really think it's going to work out, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I'm looking at the transcript of their first quarter financials, right? And and what they were basically saying, they were projecting a 3% growth in their profits from Concord, Astro Bot, I guess, and God of War Ragnarok, because they were gonna release it for the PC. So they were, in terms of for that specific game and network services, and obviously that didn't come true.
Astro Bot's gonna do numbers, and unfortunately, God of War probably is as well. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, but with Astro Bot, I feel like Astro Bot is. Even though it's going to do numbers, I agree. It looks good. It's going to do numbers. Astro Bot is not like a day one buy, I think, for a lot of people. Astro Bot's like a guaranteed sale buy. I feel like people would buy Astro Bot when it's $19.99 immediately versus like going out there day one buying it at $59, $69, whatever it is.
No, it's 70. By the way, it's a 6-hour game for $70.
Exactly. So I don't see people going out there and be like, oh, I got to get Astro Bot day one, bro.
Look,
go into his friends and be like, you got to buy Astro Bot, right?
Cage, you underestimate the ponies.
Okay, there's PlayStation shills out there, no doubt about it. But those are the same people that let Concord fail. So I mean, what are we talking about? I just don't think it's a day one buy. Like if I'm gonna buy Astro Bot just when it's 75% off or 80% off. That's when I'm gonna buy it. But I'm not gonna buy that shit at fucking full price. Are you kidding me?
Buy it all. I don't have a PlayStation 5 because I'm not a fucking homo.
Hey, I have a PlayStation 5.
I can't afford one.
Are you sure about that?
Okay, well, no, but I don't have a PS5. That's the accurate part of the thing.
Sounds like cope. That's all. Anyway, so yeah, I think Sony's gonna stop.
She'd love me if I was gay the other day. By the way,
that makes sense.
Out of the blue, we're always see Beetlejuice. And
Does she watch SNH?
Leon, I would still love you if you were gay because I think you're at least bi. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Base fucking child.
Base as fuck.
Nigga, you gay.
That's what she did. Shout out.
When is she coming on the show?
But real quick, Hypno, to your point of Astro Bot,
yeah.
I am right in line with you. I saw someone say the only game worth buying that's that length is Stray, and it got me thinking, like, I really want to play Stray. I also really want to play RoboCop. I also have other games that have a backlog for my PS5 that I haven't even bought yet that are already going on heavy discount. And I have this like, well, I'll just buy those eventually when I have time to play them, and then I'll get to Astro Bot when it gets to be the lower price. Like, there's no reason to buy a game at $70.
No,
like,
zero. Unless it's an online live service, competitive, something like that. Like I understand why people
are free to play anyways.
Yeah, no. So I understand why people buy like Call of Duty Day One. I like people buy Call of Duty Day One because they want to be one of they want to be one of the first. They want to be playing it while it's hot and there's maximum amount of players. I get that, but a game like Astro Bot, there's no fucking reason. Like if you're spending $70 on Astro Bot, you're probably insane, which is fine.
To be fair,
but
I still hold that Breath of the Wild was a worthwhile $70 purchase. I played through it
Any
twice.
Nintendo game
100
is
hours
different.
both.
Like I got this new Zelda game already pre-ordered. Like Nintendo's a little bit different, because also those games don't get discounted after a long time.
Yeah, that's true. They
fuck
don't.
Nintendo, bro.
They do not.
I'm stupid enough to buy their consoles, knowing I'm never gonna buy their games because I just don't want to pay full price for it. Like I always do it, bro. I buy a Switch because it's cheap, and I'm like, I'm gonna play a bunch of Nintendo games. I can't wait. And I go to the store. I'm like, oh, this is full price, no sale, nothing. I'm like, all right, I'll wait a year. It's okay. The next Pokemon game comes out. Great. I'm gonna get the old one. Let's do it. $5 off. I'm like, wow, fuck you guys.
Biggest reason why I left Nintendo.
But this is why, though, Nintendo collecting is so big.
Yes,
Nintendo collecting is huge because their value, like you're never gonna lose value.
Well, I mean, that's a whole topic in its own right. But I kind of, in a weird way, I'm in the minority here. I appreciate that the games don't lose value. Like I feel like when I buy something from them, it's like a tangible asset that is worth something for me to resell in the future if I want to, which I never do because
I'm eyeing my Breath of the Wild and Wind Waker GameCube games right to my right. Like,
yeah.
No, I totally get it, and I like that fact too. But I just can't break. Like, I'm a PC player, right? So PC players are spoiled when it comes to pricing. There's no doubt about it.